Johnny works for Love Island because he is a cheating whore. And I mean, it's gonna be good, messy television, but every time I have seen Johnny on a competition reality show, he plays the exact same way every single time. What up, everybody? I finally caught up on episodes 2 and 3 of season 3 of House of Villains. They more irritated me than entertained me, to be honest. And it's kind of the things I was saying last time is when there is a big alliance, especially a big alliance in an already small cast, it's just never going to be my favorite thing. But I do like the cast and I do find them entertaining outside of two people, and those two people are Johnny and Christine. I do think I would probably feel differently if Christine was the one voted out in episode 2, but that did not happen. It was Jackie, who I don't really know, but I was entertained by. And I felt like she was way more natural at fighting or arguing than most of this cast, to be honest. Whereas Christine is very lame. I don't think Christine is good TV. I feel like that rant at the end of episode 1 towards Tyson was kind of an epic fail. She was just yapping and yapping and yapping and wasn't really funny or entertaining compared to everyone else's yelling that we have seen so far. But what is also really irritating me is this fake contrived showmance with her and Johnny, and even more so this fake contrived love triangle with Johnny, Christine, and Ashley. But Johnny is at the core of why this season is a bit of a drag, because Johnny, I get him on Love Island. Johnny works for Love Island because he is a cheating whore. And I mean, it's gonna be good, messy television, but every time I have seen Johnny on a competition reality show, which we just saw him a few months ago on Love Island Games 2, he plays the exact same way every single time, which is try and be in a big alliance and have a big ego in a big alliance, and then eventually the big alliance turns on him because he is a big threat and a big ego. And I'm sick of it. It's not good TV. I don't think Johnny is good TV for a competition reality show. And I get the big alliance strategy. It does make logical sense to have numbers in a game where you can have numbers like this if you can get that alliance to stay together. I get that, the logic behind that. But there is also logic in changing up your game if you are going to continue to do these competition games. We've seen Johnny on 2 Love Island games. We've seen Johnny on a season of The Challenge. He's played the same way or tried to play the same way every single time, and it hasn't worked for him. So maybe he should do the logical thing and change up his game. But he's not. He's playing the same exact game we just saw from him a few months ago on Love Island Games 2. And to me, it's already very boring and still. Now, I mean, the other thing is that this alliance is just a bro down alliance, which never has and never will appeal to me either. Paul has been driving the entertainment for me with the people in that alliance anyway, because he is playing chaotic and messy. He was the one that through the vote in the first vote voted out Christine instead of Jackie, trying to kind of set Tom up, who had made like a secret handshake deal with Jackie, but also just causing chaos, and it was kind of working. However, Tom himself is the main one onto Paul. And even though I am liking Paul's gameplay, I like that Paul is in the alliance, but also actively working against the alliance. That appeals to me as a viewer, because that's what I like. I much prefer chaos over boring big alliance shit. The boring big alliance shit went out of style 20 years ago on Survivor, after Pagongings, when Survivor changed their format up and started having tribe swaps and all these other twists. But in a small show like this, I mean, it's kind of hard to make a bunch of twists to, I guess, put an end to those big alliances. I feel like they're going to have to take a page out of the challenge book next season and make people play in duos or something to kind of change things up. Because right now, the way that they cast the women on this show is to be entertainment, but not have a lot of strategy. And we're seeing how, with that style, a lot of the entertaining people are likely going to go for so far this season. That's the way it's looking. We're going to lose Jackie, and then we're going to lose another entertaining player this season. This next episode, because it's going to be Tiffany, Kate, or plain Jane, who was Johnny's nominations as the new supervillain. He had Paul as his right hand. Paul had been really trying to set it up for Tom to be the one thrown in, but when Paul became the right hand, Paul lost his vote, and that kind of changed things. Paul did have a say, though. Paul and Johnny had to agree on the nominations. I guess Paul probably saw it as he was already being messy, and he couldn't keep pushing for Tom and keep pushing against that alliance because it could go blow back in his face. So I do kind of understand why Paul just went along with Johnny for nominating Plain Jane. But clearly, Plain Jane is more annoyed with Paul and seemingly more hurt from Paul in the nomination than actually Johnny. So while Paul has been entertaining me, and while I like his chaotic game style, I don't know if he's necessarily playing well. I thought he was by the end of episode 2, but after episode 3, he's playing a little too messy. So yeah, after episode 3, our nominees are New York, Kate, and Plain Jane. Judging by the preview, I would assume Kate will be the one eliminated because there was way more New York and Plain Jane in the preview than Kate, but they might surprise us. It might be someone else. I guess I would prefer Kate to go out of the 3 because I feel like she's bringing a little less. Tiffany is never going to be a strategist, though. New York is there for the drama. She got emotional with Johnny after the challenge, which is how she got nominated in the first place. However, I would also be surprised if people see her as a threat at this point. They thought Kate was spying on their little alliance, and so I think Kate makes sense for people to vote out unless Kate wins the veto challenge, basically, that they have on this show. And then Plain Jane really went hard after Paul. I think Plain Jane can get out of this vote if he's against Kate. I think he might have a slightly harder time against New York, though, if it does come down to them. If it comes down to New York and Kate, which I kind of see happening because it's been a guy's game so far, I think that Kate likely goes home. We've also had the edit of New York and Kate not liking each other at first, but then becoming friendly, and now they might have to go against each other in the vote. I could definitely see that be a part of the edit. I think obviously Kate is the slightly better player between her and New York, but she's also not playing hard, so I kind of would be okay with Kate going of the 3. I like that Tom was finding out in episode 2 what it's like to play in a big alliance. That was one of the better edits I've seen on a show as to why being in a big alliance actually kind of sucks for your game, because you are stifled by the big alliance. You can't vote for who you want to vote for. You have to vote with the numbers, but if it's not good for your actual individual game, it could screw you over. That was a good thing to see from a competition show, because shows like Big Brother won't show you that most of the time. Maybe sometimes on Survivor. But it was good to see an edit where a player wants to play a more individual game, but he's in this big alliance. He can't vote the way he wants to. Yeah, it could hurt your own game. And now Tom is kind of on the outs in that alliance anyway. And it's I don't know. I do like the fact that they had to change the plan after Johnny told Tom he was going to put Tom up as a decoy. The good thing about the alliance dynamics is that you have Tyson and Tom very close. You have Johnny and Ashley very close. And then you have Paul in that 5-person alliance, and he's already kind of playing against the alliance. So the dynamics are at least entertaining, but Johnny and Christine are not entertaining. They do not entertain me, not even a little bit. I just saw Johnny play this exact same game a few months ago, and it didn't work for him there. But I also got to say for Paul that if Tom, of all people, if Tom Sandoval, who we saw on The Traitors be wrong about almost everything, is onto the fact that Paul is the one that threw the vote, Paul's doing something wrong. So Paul might need to be a little more smart about his messiness. But we'll see what episode 4 brings coming up later this week. I assume there's only one episode this week, but I never know with Peacock. They're very random with how many episodes they drop at once.